Hey everyone, this video is sponsored by Deal Machine. If you want to find real estate deals before they hit the market by advertising to sellers, consider using Deal Machine by going to metkevin.com/deals. Hey everyone, Kevin here. We've got to talk about what's happening between landlords and tenants and what it means for the housing market and for both individual landlords and tenants. Let's go right into it. So here's the thing. A day after Biden banned evictions via a new CDC moratorium, which will last until October 3rd for high-risk COVID transmission areas, which currently cover about 80% of all counties in the country, since guess what? We got the Delta variant surging. Real estate and landlord groups are now suing to stop the eviction ban. This all started with a complaint from the Alabama Association of Realtors in Georgia, and essentially their complaint argues that the CDC is exceeding their authority and they are asking for an injunction to stop or halt the CDC eviction ban, which basically would mean there wouldn't be an eviction ban anymore and evictions could continue to get processed. Now, this all stems from the fact that Congress failed us again. If Congress would have just passed a thorough, clean law properly addressing both the needs of landlords and tenants, then we wouldn't be in this situation where the CDC needs to step in to try to rescue tenants in the real estate market. It's crazy. It's so broken how the government is operating. But even Biden acknowledges, like, well, since Congress can't get it done, I guess we'll have to play legal games and try to do a lawsuit that, or not a lawsuit, try to do a CDC eviction ban that we know is probably going to get thrown out in court. But hey, maybe it'll buy us 2 months of an eviction ban, and at least we're trying to keep evictions banned. Because keep this in mind, Biden says he thinks the CDC's eviction ban is going to get kicked out because the last CDC eviction ban went to the Supreme Court, and earlier this year in a 5-4 vote, the Supreme Court said the CDC lacks the authority. And instead, the Supreme Court says Congress should write specific law instead of relying on the CDC to solve its problems, which that seems logical. It seems logical that lawmakers should create and solve laws when there are problems, but they're too busy dancing around infrastructure discussions and trying to go on vacation. This is very frustrating. But let's talk about this. So, the current CDC eviction moratorium, which does last until October 3rd, is now at risk because of this lawsuit. Now, the current rules are different in this new CDC eviction moratorium, so maybe because of these new rules, it's different enough to where it's, not going to get kicked out and the eviction ban will stay. But we're going to talk about what my thoughts are on the odds in just a moment. I just want to be very clear about this. All of this, by the way, is 100% the government's fault. Like, not only is Congress failing to solve the problem, but you got states and local governments who are failing to actually distribute the rent relief money to the tenants and landlords who need it. And I sympathize with both sides. Landlords have contracts. Contracts should be enforceable by law. When people don't pay, you don't stay. However, obviously the pandemic created an insane amount of joblessness and despair. There are people who are legitimately struggling, who don't have a job, who don't have childcare, who will literally be homeless if they get evicted. So I see both sides, but this is where the government should step in and go, we will pay for you because that's what they promised to do, and we'll get it done fast. Well, the government gave $46 billion 7 months ago to help people with their back rent, but only $3 billion has gone out. This is literally all a failure of government. They failed to get the money to the people. They fail to solve the problem with proper laws when the money they're failing to get out fails to get out fast enough. In other words, they again fail. And now they're trying to play legal games, leaving people up in the air as to whether or not are they going to get evicted or are they protected. Like, the amount of stress the government puts on people is absolutely a crime. But anyway, here's just an idea, just a suggestion, because obviously I'm running for governor in California to bring common sense ideas to California. You can support the campaign at metkevin.com. But anyway, my belief is that we should try to think of solutions that may be worth discussing, okay? I never want to say that my ideas that I come up with are the be-all, end-all solution and it's the best case scenario, but at least it's potentially better than the crap we have right now. Just an idea, okay? For every eviction that gets filed, put a highlighter through that case, and within 24 hours of both the landlord and tenant providing information, have somebody literally sit there and go, do they qualify for rent relief? If so, Landlord, here's 12 months of back rent or up to 12 months of back rent. Here's 3 months of rent going forward. Is this good? Can we now can this eviction? We good? And done. You get that eviction off the books. You need somebody processing this stuff fast, within 24 hours, not within 7 months, where people are sitting around waiting. Like in California, people have applied for rent relief and only 6% of the money has gone out as of last month. This is a crime. It's a complete crime. So people are getting screwed by the failure of government. Now I realize some people are going to say, oh, but then that's going to put more pressure on the legal system. Well, guess what? Then hire more judges and court staff. But don't leave people suffering, because literally right now, the government is putting landlords into a very stressful situation. They're putting tenants into a very stressful situation. They've already allocated the money. They just can't get their act together. They have a failure of leadership again. So, okay, what's the reality? Right now, evictions are stopped. No evictions if you are in a high-risk area of COVID transmission. You could watch my Evictions Are Banned Again video and see the specific details of the text in terms of what you have to qualify for if you are a tenant to make sure you are protected. I'll link that video in the description down below as well. So for right now, though, evictions are stopped. However, because of these lawsuits, the Realtor Association, Realtor Lobby, and landlords are asking for an injunction against the CDC moratorium. This means that a judge who reviews this injunction could decide, I'm going to declare the CDC eviction ban illegal until we further litigate it, which would mean evictions could open up again. That's why there's so much stress on both sides, because a judge could literally come in right now and go, look, the Supreme Court said the last one was illegal. I'm declaring this one's illegal as well until we continue to litigate it. So Biden's plan of trying to buy 2 months by doing this new CDC eviction moratorium does not necessarily mean tenants are going to get 2 months. So bottom line advice for tenants and landlords, and then we'll talk about the market briefly. Tenants and landlords, y'all got to figure out how to talk together in the meantime, because the government's screwing both of you. It's not your fault. It's the government's fault. And so I think through that sort of common agreement, hopefully y'all can work together and figure out how the tenant can pay as much as possible without going bankrupt, and the landlord can accept, that number to where y'all can get to the point of getting the rent relief that you need. Hopefully we get there very soon, because this is ridiculous. Now about the market. Obviously, I think the housing market, buying inventory, buying demand is starting to slow a little bit. But we are going to be in a situation where, essentially, if we don't have evictions, we're still going to have more limited inventory. If evictions start going through, if we get this injunction, I would expect more properties to start hitting the market within the next 3 months, because after this, I think there are going to be a lot of mom and pop landlords who are like, I'm done. I'm done with tenants and toilets. I just believe that. So I think there'll be a shakeup that comes to the real estate market a little bit if evictions do go through. So with that said, make sure to check out Deal Machine by going to metkevin.com/deals in the link down below. And folks, we'll see you in the next video. Thanks so much. Bye.